So this is going to be a walkthrough of what we are doing as a company for web developers. So introducing you Freddy Copilot for developers from Freshworks. About us, how many of you know Freshworks already? Wow, that's good to know. Thank you. So Freshworks is one of the first Indian SaaS unicorn to be listed in NASDAQ. So the picture you see here where we are standing with the Indian flag, this is the listing day on NASDAQ. So we were founded in 2010 in Chennai, and now we have offices in Chennai and Bangalore. We have around 5,000 employees, 65,000 plus global customers in 160 plus countries, and we have around $580 million of revenue. So we have multiple customers, around 65,000, like what I called out. And what am I doing here? So we are here to talk about our platform and how developers can build apps on top of our platform. So Freshworks is a multi-product company. We are into customer support, sales, and marketing. So in addition to the products, we have a platform, which is the Neo platform, which is enabling all our products. Not just our products, we are also opening out for the developers, external developers like you, to build apps on top of this platform, and you could make revenue out of it. So ours is a two-sided platform, like what I called out. One is the customer facing, which I just talked about. We have around 65,000 customers across the globe. And on the other side, we have a platform which is serving to the developers, to the development community, and they can build apps which will run as part of our SaaS offering, right? So the potential that you have before you is huge, where you can build apps which will reach all our 65,000 B2B customers. So what is this? It's all about marketplace, bridging the developers to the customers. So what we do here is, there are a lot of common use cases that our developers, Freshworks developers or the web developers solve for us. It's about enriching data from third-party systems into Freshworks UI, and sometimes syncing data from other systems into our product. It could be automations or one-click collaborative tools and stuff like that. Some of the examples that you can think of, like bringing data from other system and showing it in our UI and things like that. So most important, you build, we run. So we help you with a complete app review, and we guide you with how to build the apps and how to make it available in marketplace. We take care of the complete auto scaling. There are no infra or platform charges that the developer has to pay. And we even support low latency use cases, which means the code that you write in JavaScript, it is guaranteed to run in a few milliseconds once the events happen within the platform. So you can really build apps on top of chat and stuff, where you could really apply your innovation to your beyond the limits. So what do we offer? We offer basic building blocks for all the developers to bring data from external systems, to store data, which is the typical database key value like use cases. We offer our own library, which is again open source right now. It's a Crayons UI components library, which you can also read about. And using all these basic building blocks, you will be able to build most of the common use cases that you would like to solve. Right? So without wasting time, we'll get into what is this all about. It is about a plugin, which we are naming it as Freddy Copilot for developers. It is available in VS Code. Why in VS Code? Because as developers, we spend most of the time in VS Code, and we want the AI engine to be close to you. So that's the reason it's a plugin on VS Code. Right? So the idea is you focus only on business problems. You don't have to worry about code patterns, syntax, and stuff. The basic things like writing documentation, test cases, all of that will be taken care by the GenAI. Right? So you will be having an experience like this, like what you see here. You will have a pane on the left or right side, which you can set up. So when you ask questions to the Freddy answers back with the code snippets. It can be HTML, it can be JavaScript. So Freddy understands the web developer world in Freshworks. Again, this Freddy AI is trying to understand JavaScript, CSS, HTML, and the Freshworks way of building apps. So if you ask any questions around it, it basically gives you the answers with the code. Now, when you are working in a team and your senior or junior, somebody has written the code and you would like to understand it, you can just select the code and you can say like, hey, what does this code do? And I know maybe people who are pro developers, you don't need this feature, but for young developers who are getting started or juniors in your team, they probably use this, can use this function when they are dealing with Freshworks app code. And security checks, very important. So what if somebody is doing a logging for a sensitive information that is there on the UI, right? So basics, but sometimes people do out of a mistake or carelessness. So even security checks can be taken care, like sanitizing the content or ensuring the open web application, best practices, security practices are all taken care. You could select the code and you can say like, hey, do a security check, and Freddy does it. It basically tells, hey, the code can be written better like this, and it even gives you the code snippet. You can just go click on it, and it basically replaces the code in the editor, and you are all good. So this goes on and on, just like that how we saw about documenting. You can also do a refactor. You can do a security check like what I showed you. And you can also run commands as, like how you speak. Say, for example, you want to run an app, you say run app, and the app runs. You say build app, and the app gets built. So this is how we have made the life simple for web developers in the Freshworks ecosystem. Again, I'm calling it out because we have trained the AI or the Copilot for mostly the Freshworks way of building apps or the web development. So what is it inside Freddy Copilot for developers? So many of you might have heard about ChatGPT, OpenAI, Amazon's LLMs, right? Google's Bard. All these are called LLMs, large language models. So what we have done here is we have taken Freshworks knowledge base, and we are also using the large language models, which is helping the web developers to get things done faster. So when you ask for any question or any prompt, what we do internally is we are applying the prompt with our knowledge base, and with the internet knowledge from LLM, you will be able to generate code for any global use case. Let's say you say, I would like to pull orders from Shopify. Our Copilot can give you the code understanding is Shopify has a get order API, and that can be written using a JavaScript code, or a way of it can be written is understood by the Copilot, and then it brings up the things as a suggestion for you, which you can accept. You could iterate on your ID, and then you can push it out as an app. So I'll introduce you to a brief demo of what it does. Right. So we have a plugin listed in VS Code. You can search for it. It's called Freddy Copilot. So if you search, it's available. In this case, I have installed it. So once you install, when you go to the configuration, you will have a key to be entered, which you can generate from the Freshworks developer login. So once you enter the key, the plugin gets activated. And not just conversation, you can even develop the whole app through it. You can go, say, create, choose template, where the old school way of creating an empty app and then getting started. You can even select React apps here. And once you select them, you basically can go ahead. Or the other way is you can start giving the complete use case. And this is where the GenAI or the generative AI comes into picture. So you can say like, hey, I would like to build a Shopify app for Freshdesk. This needs to be shown in the ticket page, right? And I want my app to capture the customer ID, which the agent may enter, and then use that to pull the orders from Shopify, so that now we are bringing data from a third-party system like Shopify into a help desk page, right? And for doing this, typically it used to take a couple of weeks for a normal developer. And now you will see how all of that gets done in few minutes, right? So when you give the use case and when you say submit, it basically uses the knowledge base of Freshworks and also the large language models from the internet to kind of do this. So now you can see the app got created, and when you expand the folder structure, you can see the whole structure of the app. And it's not just a code snippet. It has given a code where there are JavaScript content and there is a HTML content. And if you look at it, it will also have the understanding between the JavaScript code and also the HTML. For example, if you have a button there on which you need to fetch orders, you will see an order container here and then the JavaScript function getting the output, populating that into the container. So it's not a plain suggestion, it is going across files where it is making the life of the web developer easier to get started, right? So there are also certain nuances in the Freshworks world where somebody installing needs to configure the Shopify key or something. It could be for any system where there is a key involved. So those details are also pre-generated using the large language model or the internet knowledge, right? So you can see for you to reach 0 to 80% of an app, it just happened in front of your eyes across files within minutes. So you could go ahead and build many such use cases which are out there, right? Using the Freshworks way of app building, and Freshworks marketplace is a great potential for web developers to submit apps and make consistent revenue out of B2B customers, because Freshworks has access to close to 60,000 global B2B customers. Enterprise customers, and when they start using your apps, you start getting a consistent monthly revenue for the apps that you have submitted.